Scientists and explorers find a huge underground city made by a lost civilization that towers over the Grand Canyon. This city is part of an ancient mystery that is buried deep beneath the Grand Canyon. The giant underground city is an amazing piece of ancient engineering and building. The question is, who built it and why? In today's video, we'll find out. We'll also tell you about some of the strange things about this place. Let's get started. The Colorado River. The story starts with people going to the Grand Canyon to look around. The Smithsonian gave money to Kincaid, who was a well-known archaeologist. In the early 1900s, the Smithsonian hired a historian named Mr. Kincaid to learn more about the western states. His trip took him to many places, but one of them may have changed how we think about the Grand Canyon and how government agencies study history. He started his trip in Utah with a friend and a wooden boat on the Green River of the Colorado River through the Canyonlands. They planned to float down the Colorado River to the Humor to see what new things they could find in this area. In 1907, man had not yet built anything like the Lake Powell Dam. Nature was the only thing standing between them and their goal. In a news story, it was said that when he was near the current Lake Powell Dam, he found a lost city. The entry to this mysterious underground city was at the end of a tunnel that went more than 1,600 meters underground. Kincaid didn't expect it to be so hard to get into the cave. The opening was about 450 meters below the steep canyon wall. The government made sure it was safe to live there. People were given a fine for the area and how they got there. The opening to the cave was above a shelf that blocked the river from view. When he saw chisel marks on the wall near the door to the city, he was curious, so he got his gun and went inside. Kincaid said that the way the underground city was built showed that the people who did it were good builders. About the city. The basement, the central access to the city, looked like a big camera with tubes sticking out of it like spokes on a wheel. The walls of the main room were covered with Egyptian symbols and hieroglyphics written on metal tablets and weapons. The fact that preserved bodies were found in the citadel was also interesting. All the mummies that were found were at least 2.74 meters tall and wrapped in dark cloth. Kincaid said he took a picture of one of them with a flashlight, but no such picture was found. More research showed interesting things about what the supposed giants of the city thought. A room more than 30 meters from the entrance has a plant in the shape of a cross and an idol that could have been the most important god in his faith. The mannequin sat cross-legged and held a lotus or lily flower in each hand. Its face had oriental features that reminded people of cave art, but it was made of plastic. Scientists at the time couldn't say for sure that the figure was Buddha, but it did look like him. At the end of the Great Hall, at what Kincaid and his friend Professor S.A. Jordan thought was a ceremonial crypt, they found the mummies. This was the last thing they found on the trip. Unfortunately, the source doesn't give much more information about this finding. The Smithsonian Institute says that this mysterious underground city does not exist, and there are no public references to it. What other questions do you have about the Grand Canyon? Quite a few of them are a surprise. A few Grand Canyon park rangers have also talked about how mysterious evil things are. People keep something as a souvenir, but then they have bad luck, so they ship it back. It is against the law to take anything from a national park, even if it is cursed. The Great Unconformity shows how old the Grand Canyon is. Scientists don't know for sure how old the rocks in the Grand Canyon are because they can't date them. Some people think the Grand Canyon is only 5 to 6 million years old, while others think it is 70 million years old. This is an important difference. The fact that the rocks in the Grand Canyon are 1840 million years old is even more confusing. If you hear that people have seen Bigfoot, it will be easy to go to a remote area. Even the Grand Canyon doesn't stand out. People see Bigfoot more often in the Pacific Northwest, but they have also been seen in the Grand Canyon. Since none of these reports can be proven, the mystery of the huge unconformity is interesting to think about. Scientists use rocks to figure out how old places are, such as the Grand Canyon. The different layers of rock on the sides of the canyon can help them figure out how old it is. It's hard to figure out how old the Grand Canyon is because the rocks on its walls seem to be missing a lot. In 1869, John Wesley Powell found that many layers of rock that should have been on the canyon walls were not there. The walls have had more than 1 billion years of rock taken away from them. In some places, stones that are 1.4 to 1.8 billion years old have been found under rocks that are only 520 million years old. The Secrets of Caves says that the caves in the Grand Canyon are just as interesting. We know of about 300 caves, but scientists think that the canyon could have as many as 1,000. Egyptian city, which is buried, is the subject of a rumor. This idea comes from one single event. In 1909, the Arizona Gazette wrote about a number of travelers. The Smithsonian explorers were said to have found a mysterious network of huge caves that could happily fit 50,000 people. In the caves, there were also statues, weapons, seeds, and other valuables. People say that an Egyptian city is buried in the Grand Canyon. There are no records of any of the explorers in the story, and no artifacts from the expedition have been found. Some people think that the Gazette used a trick to sell more copies. Some people who believe in conspiracies say that the Smithsonian hides the truth so that it fits with the accepted story. Some people think that the caves are a doorway to the fourth dimension and a strong place that no one can get to right now. Egyptian pyramids and items may have been found in a part of the Grand Canyon that is not allowed to be visited. Maybe these stories came from the cave story, or maybe no one knows. Whether or not the rumors and stories are true, they make for interesting ideas to think about when visiting the Grand Canyon. So far, we have probably only scratched the top of the mysteries of the Grand Canyon. What do you think of the mummy-filled underground city? Tell us in the comments section below. And before you leave, don't forget to sign up for the channel. We're glad you watched the script. See you next time.